On an unknown date, in the year 0 BCE, a little known Jewish rabbi was born in the town of Bethlehem. To the religion he would lead, and to the over 2.3 billion people today who adhere to it, he is without doubt the living God incarnated in the form of man, made to grant salvation to the world as it was written in the prophecies that preceded him. Whether you are a non believer, on the fence, or a devout believer, we can all agree that the celebration of this remarkable man's birth in modern American culture has morphed into something almost unrecognizable from what it was. Ironically, I can speak from both sides of the story, having grown up in a relatively devout Christian home while still celebrating all the known commercial Christmas necessities the American childhood had to offer. To be quite honest, the person who made my childhood Christmas magical was my grandma. Growing up, she would put up a plethora of decorations, all of which played a part alongside the natural awe in a 5 to 12-year-old boy. Christmas at my grandma's house played a heavy role in my youth, not only because she embraced the celebratory spirit with the affection and passion of a loving grandma, but also because my brother, my cousin, and I lived out of state. So moments at grandma's were special, and moments at grandma's during Christmas were especially special. The following material was written by AI using 3 credible sources. It describes the historical transformation from purely religious tradition to a secular commercial holiday in 3 key shifts. For more information on the sources, see cited sources at the bottom. 1. From public riot to domestic piety. TheHistory.com and Smithsonian articles observe that in the early 19th century, Christmas was often a raucous carnival holiday characterized by class conflict and street riots. To maintain social order, the Victorian upper class reinvented the holiday as a family-centered day of peace. By moving the celebration from the streets into the home, they created a private space where gift exchange became the central ritual. This domesticated holiday laid the groundwork for modern consumerism by making the home the primary site of holiday spending. 2. The sacralization of materialism. A critical insight from the Smithsonian is the concept of sacralizing materialism. To overcome early American unease with the blatant commercialism of manufactured goods, retailers used religious and nostalgic motifs to decontaminate the commercial character of shopping. By wrapping gifts, removing price tags, and invoking the image of the 3 magi, retailers framed spending as an act of personal generosity rather than a market transaction. This allowed people to participate in industrial capitalism while feeling they were upholding spiritual values. 3. The professionalization of the spirit. Britannica and the Smithsonian emphasize that by the 20th century, the spirit of Christmas became a professionalized tool for retail. Malls and department stores became the new holy places, using oral merchandisers, holiday music loops, and visual stagecraft to induce a state of childlike innocence in adult shoppers. The figure of Santa Claus was transformed from a religious saint into a secular spokesperson for unmet material desires, effectively turning the religious virtue of hope into the commercial drive of acquisition. In essence, these websites argue that commercialization succeeded because it didn't replace the religious meaning of Christmas. Instead, it successfully domesticated and rebranded it, selling back to the public the feelings of family, faith, and nostalgia as commodities. And so, what you get is a post-war American culture inflating the premise of European folklore, Santa Claus, merged with religious tradition and industrial-era capitalism, producing me having to listen to Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You at Dollar General in mid-November 60 years later. Okay, no, but seriously, all jokes aside, much like everyone else, there are some rather absurd aspects to the holiday, from the lie of Santa Claus we tell to children to manipulate them to behave during the year, to the ridiculous amount of overconsumption we feel we have to buy to satisfy some artificial urge given to us through advertising and societal pressure. And yet, having been raised in the dichotomy of both a religious home and having been influenced by my grandma to make Christmases of youth magical, I guess you could say I've concluded that in an effort to give children a mystical experience that would be remembered forever, there is justification in the commercialization of Christmas, justification in the myth, folklore, and storytelling that surrounds the Christmas narrative that isn't evidently Christ himself. Now that doesn't mean you overconsume material objects and or ignore the holiday's religious history and connection. For Christmas did not exist without Christ. It wasn't the presents I most cherished. It wasn't even the disappointment I had when I found out Santa wasn't real. It was the love and effort my grandma poured into making those moments memorable, to have been able to cherish them at all. And if that's what one of Christ's purpose was for having come into the world, to have us take insight and get to know one another enough to be able to look back and cherish moments, well then, I guess you could say I'm proud to celebrate Christmas, even if it means getting blasted with Christmas music in the grocery store in the middle of November.